instead of playing video games and doing stuff most 18-year-olds are doing, I just kind of busted down and, really found out what I wanted to do, and I love it.
Started calling strangers and talking to them about real estate.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, and I am telling you, if I can do it, so can you. So let's get started. We are going into a time machine. We are going back in our brains on this podcast interview to what we were doing when we were 18 years old, or even better, just before you're 18, when you're 17 years old, because on this interview, I am interviewing an 18-year-old wholesaling prodigy coming out of my home state of Arizona. It is my pleasure to introduce Carter Libis to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Say hello, Carter.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on, Brent.
This is incredible because, and I just want to sink the hooks in for this podcast so that people are really going to listen to this. And I don't care if you're 68 years old or if you're listening to this and you're 18 years old, this is going to really hit all of those little different thoughts that are going in your head on whether or not you can do this business. Okay, this is one of the most important interviews that I've done, and I'm just so excited to really break down your story. But really, what this is all about is this is saying, you know what, it doesn't matter about my age, it doesn't matter about my experience, it doesn't matter about my background, and whether or not my family's been doing real estate for decades or not. This is about taking action, following instructions, and having that confidence and that certainty to go out there and help out people in your community. So, Carter, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us where you're from, where you grew up, and how does somebody at 18 years old already have 2 deals under their belt and one that was a really, really, really big deal? So go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm 18 years old. I just turned 18 in April. My family just moved actually here to Prescott, Arizona in August. I was born and raised in South Dakota, my whole life. So it's definitely been weird just because of the whole year, with Corona and everything. But it's been a difficult change. But, it's going good. During this whole Corona time, I've always wanted to get, into real estate. My dad, he owned a few small businesses back in our small town of a whopping 800 people. But he always kind of showed me the ropes, and I love the whole idea of passive income and the whole fact that people can pay your mortgage and put money in your pocket each month. So I always want to get into that. And during the whole Corona thing, he forced me to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is an awesome book.
Yep.
So I wanted to get into real estate, and I wanted to find a way how to with no money. And I remember he sent me this book, The Art of Wholesaling. I'm not even sure who it was by. I don't even think I read it. But I just YouTubed, I found your channel and everything. I'm like, oh man, I could do this with no money. Like, are you serious? It's like, like you said, it's like hitting the lottery. I'm like, this can't be real. This has got to be like another scammer influencer, So I think my first list I pulled was, I was actually, driving for dollars. I was driving around the neighborhood, taking pictures of the MLS signs by the brokers or whatever. Like, thinking back to it, I'm like, I'm kind of stupid for doing that. But that was my first, thing. I would be calling them, and like, kind of found out that the MLS deals, they weren't the ones to go. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. There's just a lot of YouTubing, during the Corona time when we didn't have school anymore, and I was really devoting it. Instead of playing video games and doing stuff most 18-year-olds are doing, I just kind of busted down and, really found out what I wanted to do, and I love it.
Started calling strangers and talking to them about real estate.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
crazy. So your dad has owned businesses. You've seen that. What do you think is the main advantage to being an entrepreneur in your head? At least what's kind of your your goal of this, or what your plans are with it?
Yeah. So I mean, I love the fact, Dad, he's always been able to, attend our sporting events and be there for us all the time. He's very supportive and everything, just like my mom. But it's just given the freedom, he can, I mean, he can do work from anywhere. He's still in South Dakota right now, and he's still, I mean, I just like the fact that, when we're on vacation, I mean, he's still getting, monthly income from the properties that he owns. I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
he deserves it because he's, putting the money and the sweat equity into them.
Yep.
So I love the fact that, if you really grind, right away in the first couple of years, you can really build something special. And I mean, that's my whole goal with wholesaling, is to really, build up a lot of cash and then go invest those, into multifamilies and just have that, income, for the rest of my life. So
I love
that's,
it. I love it. And I think that it's really important because, we talk about, and the intro of every single one of these podcasts is the most proven path to financial freedom. But what financial freedom really does, and Carter just mentioned it, is it gives you freedom of schedule. Okay, listen, we've got one shot at this life, right? And you only have a certain amount of time. I mean, it's absolutely critical that you get the most out of it that you can. And the only way really to do it in our society, in our world, and the way that things actually work is to find that financial freedom, to be able to open up your schedule so that you can have the opportunity to go to sporting events, that you can have the opportunity to go on vacations, that you can have the opportunity to be around your children, your family, your friends, your whoever, whatever you want to do. Maybe you just want to be by yourself in the woods. Whatever it is,
yeah.
you need to be able to have the financial freedom to be able to have the freedom of schedule. And it's absolutely beautiful. I see the relationship that you have with your dad. You guys have come into the office. You guys have spent time. Anybody that's in the TTP family, once things open up and once things get back to normal with the whole COVID situation, are invited into my office, and you took advantage of that. I saw the connection. Your dad's not in the business, but he understands that if you talk to enough people, you're going to find deals, and he supports you 100%. How big is that for you?
Oh, it's awesome, and me being wholesaling and me, calling, every day and trying to find those deals. I mean, he loves the fact that, I'm doing this, because he'll have the first, option at those deals that, that could be fix and flips or just another, rental in the portfolio. But yeah, it's awesome. He loves the fact that and I've shown him proof that it's awesome. It's amazing. And my mom, on the other hand, too, she's great. She's so supportive. I mean, I'm very blessed to have a family like this. She works so hard too, and you kind of show her what I'm doing, and she's just, there on the sideline just cheering me on too.
Just so proud. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. And so when you were starting, I mean, weren't you nervous? I can imagine. I'm putting myself, this is a total selfish thing. I'm putting myself back to when I was 18 years old. I could barely order my own food at that time. I know people might sound like that might be goofy, but at restaurants, I still was looking to my parents to help ease the conversations with strangers.
Yeah.
And here you are getting on the phone. How did you overcome that? Was that ever an issue, or have you always been naturally just, what, I'm going to do it? Or how did you overcome it?
Yeah, so I think the thing with me is I've been blessed, to be able to talk to people. I've kind of always had that trait where, I'm very likable. I can always kind of relate to someone and, have a good conversation with them and get to know them. So I don't think it was too big of a deal with me. I never really had or was scared to jump on the phones and, have a conversation with somebody.
Yep.
So yeah, it's, once I, really get on the phone and having a conversation with them, I think I know I'm blessed to kind of build the rapport with them and really kind of get into them. It's the fact that when I go on appointments and they're like, I was the guy that I was talking to. So I'm in effect, that's a good thing, because they think they're talking to a, older, more mature person. In reality, I'm just, 18 trying to hustle. So, I mean, that's all it is.
That's awesome. Well, and it's incredible, and it's rare. A lot of people don't have that, but some people do, and there needs to be an outlet for them to be able to be successful. And it 100% is wholesaling real estate. If you're one of those people out there that are listening or watching this, and you're like, you know what, I I feel fine. I'm not scared of people. I have big dreams. I want to hustle, but I don't want to do like the same hustle every 18-year-old is doing and not really making any money. I mean, you've done 2 deals for over $42,000 and you just started when? When did you start?
I started in May, so it's been a couple
Started
months.
in May. Guys, this interview is happening in July. That's how crazy this is. That's how, I mean, what an unbelievable talent you are. But talent only goes so far if you're not taking action, if you're not working it, if you're not actually staying consistent with your efforts. So what does your day look like as an 18? You're out of high school now?
Yeah, yep, I
You
just
graduated high school?
Yep,
Okay,
about a month ago. I just had my graduation party 2 weeks ago.
cool. All right.
Yeah, so my day, you know, I do have a job at a country club here in town in Prescott. I work about three to 4 days a week. You know, but when I'm not working, I try to follow that 9 to 11, 9 to noon time where I make calls. I'm probably averaging about an hour and a half a day, you know, on the dialer.
Yep.
And with it, you know, what I believe is if I can do at least an hour and a half a day, I mean, just even a little bit each and every day, to, you know, to make those calls and be consistent. Because this whole business, it's all about just building the pipeline and get that, you know, ball rolling. And so if you can be consistent each and every day, you know, you'll do deals. And, you know, my whole goal right now is I want to do 1 deal a month, you know, so that's my main goal.
Yep.
So if I can be on the dialer for a couple hours, an hour and a half a day, I feel like I can do that. But yeah, I mean, it's all about taking action, you know. So
when do you prefer to make your calls? Is it the morning? Is it the afternoon? When do you find that you can be not only consistent and sustainable, but that you can have that energy, have that enthusiasm, have those really good conversations?
Yeah, so I love the morning to make calls, you know, starting at 9:30 to like 11, you know, 12.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like to make calls the way it is, so I don't really care what time of the day it is, as long as I can make, you know, a couple hours where I can make calls and follow up with people.
So it's fluid.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going crazy, you know, 6 to 7 hours a day. Kind of get worn out by then, but that 2 to 3 to, I mean, even 4 hours. I mean, I think it's perfect for me, and it gives me those little small wins to know that I'm building it up and the deals are going to start rolling in. So I really don't care, you know, what time of day it is. I like to knock it out, you know, early in the morning, so I got the rest of the day.
Yep.
You know, to do whatever stuff pops up.
Yep.
I like to get it up and get it over the way, so I'm not stuck, you know, having to squeeze it in at a certain point or not being able to do calls at all. So it's ideally I get up and I get, you know, right to it. So
what did you what are the best lists that you like calling? Now that you've had a couple months under your belt, you're getting into a rhythm. Is there certain lists that you find easier to talk to than others?
Not necessarily. You know, I really like the pre-foreclosure list. I have an agent in town that sends me that list pretty frequently.
Yeah.
But due to the whole Corona thing, the list is really small right now because the banks are giving you know, extensions and stuff like that. So I really haven't been, you know, targeting that list. But the past about month, I've been calling. You know, I got this list from List Source. I put Yavapai County, so it's the whole county.
Yeah.
40 to 100% equity, just single-family residents and up to multifamilies. So, and that was about 3,000 addresses. So I'm texting it and I'm calling it, and it should keep me busy for a while. I still got a lot of addresses to hit, but hopefully there's a few deals in there.
What about driving for dollars?
Yes. I kind of forgot about that. I just pulled a list. It was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I got a list just here in Prescott. It's about 250 addresses that I got just from driving for dollars.
Yep.
But after LLCs and everything, I think it was down to like 180 that I was able to call. And that was good. I love that list, you know, because you're out there, you're finding those real properties that have, you know, real.
Are you using an app?
Yeah, I'm using Deal Machine.
Deal Machine. Guys, listen, we get the biggest discount ever. Use the coupon code TTP for your driving for dollars. It gives you everything. It gives you all the owner information, lets you know if it's owner occupied or if it's a rental. It's absolutely phenomenal. Dealmachine.com. TTP, when you check out, you get $10 off. It's only $40 a month, and it is, I mean, how easy it's.
Yeah, Deal Machine is great because even if like we're going to church or we're going to a thing and I see a property, I'm in the back seat, I'll pull up the app and I'll zap it real quick.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You don't need to be slow down, write the address down, stuff like that. It's great. It's a real convenience. I definitely recommend that app.
Awesome. So let's start breaking down, because the first deal you did, you were excited.
Yeah.
It wasn't that very big, but it did the crucial thing, which it took you from believing that you can do this to it being a fact that you can make money and income and close and help solve the problem of a distressed seller. So give us a first brief overview of the first deal that you did.
Yeah. So the first deal, this was a pre-foreclosure. This was a list that the agent sent me. It was over in Camp Verde. It was a mobile home. I got it on, I was going through the list. I got a hold of him, and it was a young couple. They had a little 4-year-old daughter too. So I really wanted to help them out, because they seemed like they were kind of going through a tough spot, so I did my best to help them out. I mean, this is my first deal. So, this is a lot of first deal mistakes I'm about to say here, but
yeah.
The ARV, I don't know. I found this really nice, mobile home that was all fixed up. I'm like, well, that's what it would be like, if, someone comes in and buys it and fix it up. And that was like $195.
Yep.
So they were high, I promised them we could lock it up for 110,
Okay.
So 110 was it. A lot of weeks went by. I posted it on, I just had them send me photos of the property.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way.
So you never went to it?
I locked it up before I was there, which is it was a big mistake. Let me tell you why. But so they sent me photos of the property. I just had them send them over, just text message, just inside and kind of the back. They never sent me a photo of the front, which is was a little sketchy. Anyway, I put it on Marketplace. I put it on Craigslist. I got a few calls. One guy wanted to a finance or a carry, and I'm like, I think that'll work, So.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a couple calls. I actually had to drive down there to show the property, and when I get there, I pull up to the house. Anyway, on Zillow, I found out that those pictures were from 2011.
Boy.
It's a good looking property on Zillow. But when I get there, the chimney is just knocked out. Like a tree must have hit it and blown it out. It's in terrible condition. There was a carport, on Zillow, and that was totally gone. There's like 6 or 7 cars, just junk cars in the property. I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to help this couple out,
Yeah.
And I get there and I show it to this first buyer, and he's practically teaching me, about this property, because I had no idea, what the septic was, where the water was. I'm like, I'm just trying to make a couple bucks here, So he was not interested. And actually, I was about to leave the property, and I get this call from an investor in Camp Verde, and he comes over and takes a look. And I was just totally honest with him. I'm like, hey, I got this property locked up for 110. I'm trying to make some money here. I'd let it go for 115. And he's like, all right, I'll call you in the morning and see if, me and my wife will agree to that. Anyway, I haven't heard from him. It's about 11 or 12 o'clock that next day. And he calls me. He's like, you know what? No, this is not going to work. I'm like, oh, man. I'm going to have to cancel on these guys. It's going to be tough. So I call him back, and I actually renegotiate the price for down to 95. I'm like, guys, it's either going to be 95 or I'm not going to be able to help you out, So then I get back on the phone, with the Camp Verde guy. I'm like, well, is there a price that'll work for you? Like, is there any price that'll work for you? He's like, it's got to be under 100. I'm like, well, 98 work? And he's like, well, let me call you back. I'm like, oh, man. So then he hangs up, and he calls me back. And I'm like, we can do 98. I'm like, okay, awesome. And anyway, it's going through the process. I'm calling everybody. Hey, guess what I did? I just made $3,000 or whatever. And then it came up on closing, like $2,700 has to be paid, with their mortgage. They have to pay off their mortgage. So I call them up, and she's crying and everything, like, oh, we're not gonna be able to pay this off. I'm sorry, but our house is gonna be foreclosed. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but I mean, you're gonna have to try to come up with this money, and I would make $200 to $300 if I had to pay it off myself. And I was like, can you just please pay this off? Like, this is gonna be the best for you. And they ended up paying it off, and I was able to help them out. And
they find a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. People find a way. When people ask and they're like, "Oh man, we can't make this happen" or whatever, and it's not something crazy. It's not like 100,000 or 50,000 or something like that, but it's under that kind of 5,000. People find a way. Brent, I don't know. I get this all the time, Carter. Brent, they have people living there and they don't have anywhere to move. They'll find a way. They will find somewhere to move, solve the problem of the seller, and you're going to make it. They will help themselves out at some point, especially when they've committed to, in their mind, to getting rid of this property. They start finding creative resources that they didn't believe they had before, and it really works out. So let's talk about, go ahead.
Yeah, it was great. Like I said, I was able to help them out. So. And, it wasn't the biggest, wholesale fee, but it just, like you said, it showed that this business is very profitable. And, I mean, it made me some money, and I didn't need any money. I just needed an hour road trip down to Camp Verde and an hour back. So it was great.
And you made 3,000?
3,000, yep.
Okay, so let's talk, because I'm going to ring this bell, but I want to ring the bell for this bigger one that you just closed. Why don't we break this thing down? So first of all, tell us what list you got it from, how you initially made contact with them, and then kind of go into, the condition and timeline and all that.
Yeah. So last deal was a cold call too, by the way.
Awesome.
Yeah. So for this deal, it was a Prescott multifamily. I just got it from PropStream. It was one of your lists that you recommend in the program. It was a multifamily in town. 30 to above equity, owned it for blah, blah, blah. Yep. Anyway, I get on the phone. We're in Prescott, so it's not the.
And by the way, when he says, guys, if you're just listening to this, and if you want to watch, if you want to see and put a face to the voice, definitely check it out on Brent Daniels Real Estate on YouTube. But when he says blah, 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 is basically we want at least 10 years, 5 to 10 years of ownership, so that it's seasoned up a little bit. But go ahead.
Yeah, so it was that was the list. Prescott's a small market, so it was like 56 properties, so it was just enough to get skip trace. I think the minimum is like you need 50 properties.
Yeah.
So skip traced it. I got a hold of them. This was a long process, not too long, but it wasn't like one of those where you're on the phone and you lock up a deal,
Yep.
They wanted to sell. They wanted to put their money somewhere else, and they were willing to, sell at a discount. So I'd build a lot of rapport with them. It was a lot of phone calls, kind of negotiating. 480 was their top number, or bottom number, I should say.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm at 410, and so I'm just trickling them down. Then they're at 460, and then all of a sudden I got them at 430. So I'm trying to sell it real good here, and I ended up.
How'd you get them down on price, Carter?
Yeah, so I was really certain. Like I said, I'm new, so I just tried to be very confident with my number. I tried to give them, some facts. I just tried to give them, where I'm at.
So facts being maybe some comparables.
Yeah. And I was just mentioning like a multifamily. That's 100. That's 125 a door, because it was a 4-unit, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of kept, knifing them like that's a lot of money, for each door, and they were willing to come down, and I actually went to meet them because, actually I was going to try to buy this property myself.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at down payment assistant loans, stuff like that, because this was a really good deal, in Prescott for 430 at a multifamily. It's instant equity, if you buy it.
Yeah.
So I got them to 430. I went over there. I always I try to bring my dad along just so I have some older people there. I didn't bring him down to Camp Verde, but I wanted to bring him to this one because I was actually going to try to buy it. Anyway, we get over there and they remodeled one of the units, and they're super people, great couple. And I was actually going to buy it, and I get a text one day from a buyer that I kind of work with down in Phoenix too. We kind of JV a little bit, and he texts me. He's like, "Hey, you got anything up in Prescott?" And I'm like, maybe I'll just send him this 4-unit, Hey, I got a 4-unit, whatever. And he's like, "Oh, awesome, And he sends it out. And he's like, "Hey, I got a buyer for 450, like sight unseen." I'm like, "Well, that's 20 grand right there." I'm like, "Yeah, of course, I'm gonna jump on that." And then anyway, it ended up being
So wait, real quick, Carter, why did the sellers want to sell this fourplex? Because there's not a lot in Prescott. Now, in Prescott, just to let everybody know, is it's a mountain town. It's beautiful. People leave Phoenix to go escape up to Prescott. People retire there. It's definitely like a step up in pricing because it's like a vacation. It's like a second home market. Yeah. And so getting a multifamily there is really pretty difficult. Mm-hmm. What was their motivation?
Yeah. So, like I said, they wanted to put their money somewhere else.
Got it.
They didn't really have too much like, oh, we got to get out of here,
Yeah.
They wanted to move on from that property. I think they were kind of just tired of it, even though they only owned it for like 4 or 5 years, so they just wanted to put their money somewhere else and just get rid of it, so I offered them speed and convenience, and they were going to deal with me,
Yep.
I think they were going to list it on the market for like 520 or 530 too, so
yep.
I'm like, yeah, let's do this deal.
Let's do it.
I try to come up with the money and put it back on the market,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I JV'd with the guy down in Phoenix. We ended up, I think the closing was like 470, so it was about $40,000, and I netted 20,000 to me. So it was super good. It literally.
So this was truly a $40,000 deal if you had a big enough buyer base.
Yeah, yep. I could have. And my mistake here was I just didn't know the market enough. Like I could have marketed this so much higher. When I got the text like, "Hey, I could sell this for 450," I'm like, that's 20 grand. Like that's got to be the best thing ever. So I just went along with it.
Now though, and not only that, you got a learning experience and a $20,000 check. And you just had your high school graduation party 2 weeks ago. Hold on a second.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. So it went through. It was super quick process. I didn't have to do any disposition, So I just send it to really any of my buyers. Like I said, I just jumped on it. So it was great, but like I said, I learned that I probably could have made a little bit more money, but you just got to be grateful and move on to the next one. So it was awesome.
Incredible. So speak now to somebody that's just starting out, somebody that's getting going in this business, somebody that's inspired. Well, first of all, if people want to reach out to you and just tell you great job, or talk to you, or maybe connect with you and joint venture with you in the markets that you work in, how do people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, so my Instagram, you can message me on there. It's Carter_Libis, and Facebook, it's CARTER_LIB as in boy IS.
Awesome.
And you can search that name on Twitter, on Facebook. I'm always replying to, and yeah, reach out. I'd love to help you as much as I can. Like I said, I only started a couple months ago, but I've been learning a lot. I'm soaking in a lot of your information, a lot of other people's information, reading a lot of books. So I'm doing my best to learn as much as I can. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and I'd love to try to help you guys and even JV on some deals and get some checks together. So
yeah, I love it. So give some advice to somebody starting out.
Yeah. So if you're starting out and you're on the verge of thinking if this is the right thing for you, honestly, if you guys can do a little bit each and every day. My main thing, if you can be consistent on this thing, on this whole wholesaling business, it's truly like hitting the lottery. Like if you can find a good discounted deal and build rapport, that's another thing. It's like 10% knowing real estate and like 90% just emotion, building rapport with the sellers. If you can become friends with them, that should be your goal for each and everything. Gain a friend. If you're on the phone and you're going on appointments, try to just know as much about them. What's their dog's name? What's their favorite color? Stuff like that. and build up a true, relationship with them, they're willing to do business with you. And if a guy comes in 20 grand higher, I mean, they're declining it and doing business with you. So, I mean, if you can build rapport, stay consistent, I mean, it's awesome. Wholesaling is great. Please get into it. I mean, just pick up the phone, go, talk to an agent. They're more than likely loving to send you a list of pre-foreclosures. Just go drive for dollars, write down some addresses, just give them a call, because literally one deal, it's insane. I mean, if you can find a good deal, you're going to be able to move it. A buyer's going to want it. So
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on here.
Yes.
Guys, just a little bit of resources that he was talking about. Deal Machine for your driving for dollars. Use the TTP coupon code. Carter mentioned PropStream. You can get that at ttpdata.com. It is phenomenal, and they just came out with a free app if you get the subscription there. And then also he talked about skip tracing, and if you're not familiar with that, that is the method that you use to get accurate phone numbers for the addresses that you're trying to get a hold of, and that's batchskiptracing.com. So Carter, phenomenal, man. So excited for you. I love that you're here. I love that you come down. We get to spend some time together and mentor you personally and work with you and just see you do what you do. You do all the hard work. I've just got the plan and I've got the map, and I'm your guide. So
you've provided me with a lot of information, and your program is awesome. It's so worth it. I just begged my dad, like, hey, please just give me a chance. I promise you this will pay off. Like, it's just a lot of YouTube. It's a lot of YouTube. Just go on there. There's so much free education out there for you guys. Just go all soak it in and just be a learner of the game. So
yeah, and if you want to take it to the next level and join the TTP family, work with me personally, go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check it out. Check out all the success that people have been having around the country. Nobody has had more success. It is absolutely incredible. If it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. You'll either be talking to me or my right-hand guy. We look forward to it. Until next time, Carter, you are amazing. You're amazing. You're a prodigy. I love it. You're incredible. And everybody out there listening and watching, as always, I encourage you to talk to people. Until next time, love you. See you.